Have you ever walked through downtown Columbus or Cleveland and experienced that strange cognitive dissonance? On your left is a brand new artisan coffee shop where people happily spend $7 on a latte. To your right, in the shadow of the same building, a person is wrapped in a tattered Ohio State blanket, trying to disappear into the brickwork. We've become experts at the pivot, that subtle move where we shift our gaze just an inch to the side so we don't have to acknowledge the person sitting on the pavement. In the heart of the Rust Belt, we pride ourselves on being tough and Ohio strong. Yet, there's a segment of our population that must be tougher than any of us can imagine, just to see tomorrow morning. Today, we're going to stop pivoting. We're going to look directly at the people who have been ghosted by the system. This isn't just about homelessness as a concept, it's about the neighbors we've collectively decided not to see. Let's take a closer look at the streets of Ohio and discuss why the American dream is starting to resemble a nightmare for thousands of people in our own backyard. The hidden crisis. Based on the brochures alone, Ohio is booming. We have tech hubs, massive logistics centers, and skylines that glow with the promise of Midwestern stability. However, that glow doesn't reach the tent cities under the I-71 overpass. The real crisis isn't just a man holding a cardboard sign at a red light, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The hidden crisis is much quieter and, in many ways, much more terrifying. It's the college student in Dayton who attends lectures all day and spends her nights sleeping in the back of a 2012 Honda Civic because her financial aid doesn't cover the rising cost of dorms. It's the father who lost his factory job and now moves his family from one cheap motel to another every 3 days, praying his kids don't realize they're homeless. These people aren't chronically homeless, as the media portrays, they are the newly displaced. They are people who did everything the right way until everything fell apart. When you walk these streets, you aren't just seeing poverty, you're seeing the brutal math of a society that has decided shelter is a luxury, not a right. The root cause. We love telling ourselves stories that make us feel better about the people on the street. For example, we might say, they must have a drug problem, or, they just don't want to work. These lies are comforting because they suggest that as long as we work hard and stay clean, it could never happen to us. However, the data tells a much grimmer story. In Ohio, the gap between people's earnings and the cost of keeping a roof over their heads has become enormous. In the last few years, rent in cities like Cincinnati and Akron has jumped by 30, 40, or even 50%, while wages have barely increased. We are living through a perfect storm in which corporate landlords are buying up affordable housing and converting it into luxury lofts that the people who live in the neighborhood can't afford. Consider the person working 40 hours a week at a warehouse or grocery store. They make maybe $15 an hour. After taxes, that's barely enough for groceries and gas, let alone a 2-bedroom apartment that now costs $1,500 a month. One broken arm, one transmission failure, or one sick child could trigger a catastrophic spiral. Ohio hasn't experienced an epidemic of laziness, it's suffered an affordability catastrophe. Survival mode. In Ohio, the arrival of November means more than just a change of seasons. It's a death sentence for the vulnerable. When the Lake Erie effect snow hits and the wind chill drops to 20 below zero, the city changes. For most of us, it's a minor inconvenience. We scrape the ice off our windshields and turn up the heat. But for someone living in a tent in a wooded lot behind a strip mall, the cold is an apex predator. It hunts you. It finds every gap in your clothing and seizes your joints, slowing your heart. Imagine the mental exhaustion of staying awake all night, knowing that if you fall into a deep sleep, your body temperature might drop too low to ever recover. People huddle over sewer grates just to catch a puff of warm steam, breathing in the city's stench just to keep their fingers from turning black with frostbite. Shelters in Cleveland and Columbus reach capacity by 5 p.m., leaving hundreds of people to face the gray monster, the freezing Ohio winter, with nothing but a plastic tarp. This isn't just roughing it. It's a life-or-death struggle happening right outside our heated office buildings, a battle for survival that leaves permanent scars on the mind and body. Community efforts. If there's any hope in this narrative, it lies with the people who refuse to look away. While the gears of government turn slowly, or not at all, Ohioans have a history of filling the void. You can see this in the community fridges that pop up in neighborhoods where people can leave and take food without judgment. You see it in the grassroots organizations that go out at 2 a.m. with thermoses of hot soup and stacks of clean, dry socks. These moments have a profound, quiet beauty. It's the volunteer who spends their Saturday morning helping a veteran navigate the labyrinth of VA paperwork, or the tiny house villages built by nonprofits to provide people with a door they can actually lock. These efforts aren't just about food or shelter, they're about visibility. When you give someone a hot meal and look them in the eye, you're telling them that they still exist. You're telling them that their city hasn't given up on them completely. This radical empathy is what's keeping the social fabric of our cities from tearing completely apart. It's neighbors helping neighbors, proving that compassion can be more resilient than any blizzard. The way out. So, where do we go from here? We must stop treating homelessness as a personal failure and start addressing it as the public health crisis it is. The solution isn't more shelters, it's more homes. We should look to the housing first model that has worked in other parts of the country. The idea is that you can't overcome drug addiction or a mental health crisis while sleeping in the streets. First, you give them a stable place to live, and then you surround them with the support they need. However, this requires a significant change in how we allocate our resources and how we plan our cities. It means choosing people over parking lots and community over corporate profits. It means demanding that our local leaders stop sweeping homeless encampments and start constructing permanent supportive housing. Hope isn't just a feeling, it's a policy choice. We have empty buildings and resources, and we certainly have the wealth. What we need is the political will to declare that no one in Ohio should have to call a sidewalk home. For today, we've reached the end of this journey, but for the people we've talked about, the journey never ends. I know it's difficult. It's easier to close this tab and think about dinner. But once you see the hidden Ohio, you can't unsee it. That uncomfortable feeling you're having right now? That's your humanity waking up. Don't push it back down. Ohio doesn't belong to developers or politicians, it belongs to all of us. A community is only as healthy as its most vulnerable member. We can't fix the whole world tonight, but we can start by changing how we see the person on the corner tomorrow. We can be the voice that demands better from our cities. Because, at the end of the day, we're all just a few bad breaks away from needing help ourselves.